So we get centre. Mm. Um, 1 in 5. Okay. So I actually learnt this off a couple of white belts. So put your leg, not your foot, like your leg, in ouchi and ko. So thread your calf and or thigh into more like an ouchi gak, but you can, even if you lift it half an inch, it counts as though if it's in the air it's gari, if it's planted it's gaki, but it doesn't matter. Even if you lift it half a centimetre, it's still a reap. So whether it's planted or in the air, whatever, ouchi. Thread your calf and or thigh, thread your leg through proper, don't use your foot because they'll step off unless you've got, you're 7 foot tall, you're 8 foot tall and you get away with it, but in general don't. And lack of natural movement in all systems, in Wing Chun, in Hema, in Ludo, lack of natural movement. I learnt this off 2 white belts. So pendulum, like Osotogari, but with ouchi and kouchi. Yeah, and bracing and pendulum, natural movement, doesn't look fancy. There's no point doing technique work where you're trying to get that technique to the perfect decimal places. It's pointless. So thread your leg, not your foot, like your full leg in. And if you want to do a standing uchi kouchi, standing is, again, I learnt this off 2 white belts. Higher belts can get caught in negative habits, so this is natural movement which is lacking in a lot of systems, even certain elements of Western boxing classes. Okay, it's martial art in the West, it's lacking because it's trying to be too rigid. You'll never get that technique to those perfect millions of decimal places. So thread your leg through, ouchigari, thread your leg through, ouchigaka, ouchigari, ouchi position, thread your leg through, and then you can, if you want to do a standing ouchi or a standing kouchi, brace. Again, I learnt this off 2 white belts. Brace here, pendulum swing your body like uchimata, like Osotogari, pendulum, torso pendulum. There, and it doesn't matter, underhook, overhand, doesn't matter. Round, round ways, over or under, doesn't matter. Thread the leg in and brace, pendulum, swing with a brace, arm brace. That is a standing O and Co. Okay. This here, there's no momentum. And the classifications of like foot technique, straight sacrifice, side sacrifice, hip techniques, the 5 categorizations are oversimplified and too rigid. So Seonagi is considered a hand technique or an arm technique, Tiwaza, but it's a hip throw with your hands. If you look, you don't go square because the person will run around you. You go slightly asymmetrical, go slightly too far. And then when you pull them, they go over your hip. If you go square, Yeah, you can do full shoulder, as the Japanese jiu-jitsu call full shoulder, but go slightly too far, and then you've got something for them to go round. Whereas if you go square, flat, then when they come round, they'll just run away off the technique. They'll run away off the technique. So, a standing thing, upper body pendulum, and brace the hands, brace the arms. And you can learn off anyone. As I say, I learned this off 2 white belts. So, O and Kogaki, Kogari, and Uchigari and Uchigaki, whatever you want. As I say, even if it's like a millimetre off the floor, if it's off the floor by anything, then it's Gari, and if it's on the floor, then it's Gaki. But these are all arbitrary, because in a real scenario, it all goes out the window. As Welcome Matt Steve Scott channel says, it doesn't matter what you call it, just call it a nippon. So thread your leg through. Same for Ko. Thread the leg through. Yeah, and then swing the torso. Yeah, because if you just use the leg by itself, like your body weighs more than your leg. Just like your legs weigh a lot more than your hands. Even if you've got big gorilla hands, your legs always gonna be stronger and weigh more, and your hips as well. Yeah, there are people who are more arm hand fighters, fair enough, but generally your legs are much stronger than your hands. Even if you've got big gorilla hands, yeah, your legs weigh more than your hands. So your body weighs more than your feet if you're doing foot techniques. So swing your torso, or as one. Using your whole body, just like in Western boxing. If you step and you do like a left cross, using your whole body, Gakatsuki or left cross, whatever, Western or Japanese, doesn't matter. Using your body in the technique. It's not just the hand by itself. And you're doing the same with O, Uchi, Kouchi, and with O Soto. Swing a brace, and you, as I say, can learn off anyone. The problem with sometimes intermediate belts and high belts is they're very good at certain things, but they became very, very stuck in negative habits, whereas a beginner actually has an advantage in that way, that they're not stuck in that, because what do they say in Eastern philosophy? The empty cup, the usefulness is in its emptiness. So, Tao Te Ching. So, thread your leg through and brace. Yeah, I think the problem I'm seeing a lot with O and Ko, myself included, is people are they're doing the legs, but they're not using the body. They're doing the foot technique by itself, and they're not using the body. So use your body. So thread the leg, or Ko. Okay, I keep doing O. Let's do Ko, but thread the leg in. And even you can do straight on one. French Kouchi is a sideways one. Korean Kouchi, I know the name exists, I don't know the move. I know the chicken step, the transfer step in HEMA, they call it chicken step in Cali, Filipino. And it's just that cross step, oblique kick, doesn't matter what you call chicken step, whatever. Yeah, but you could do that Korean step, whatever, chicken step. But get Ko in, or O, and thread your leg in, swing. Sometimes going in sideways blocks your body. You can fall sideways, but you can't really swing from the middle. So if you go in a bit more straight and you thread it in, then you can swing. And that which is good because you're not getting caught on your leg, whereas with Ko, obviously you are. So maybe Ko is better side. But with O, you can. It's like an inside Osotogari, like an inner leg Osotogari, Ouchi. With Ko, let me see, you can lock onto your own leg, but that's not good. Or you can actually, you can here and then go through the middle. You can Ko and bring it through the middle, like Osoto with a Ko position. Osoto swing with a Ko foot position. So yeah, that's what it's missing. It's the body movement. They'll do a hand movement or Ashiwas or a foot technique without moving the body. And also the other problem, too rigid a technique with all these decimal places won't work. So forget all that idea. Forget that and don't overthink it. Just sort of leap into it. Let it be ugly. It's not kata, so kata fine, but non-kata technique works different. So yeah, ko. Let me see if you can do a straight on ko. Yeah, you have to bring it in between your leg. You can do it, but you risk bashing into your leg. But you can do it. Otherwise, side on and fall. Kogaki really is better for that one. Falling koichi rather than a standing koichi. You can do a standing koichi. The other way probably, if you standing koichis, go wide with your supporting leg, and then maybe at an angle, and then you can bring it through. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna bash into your own leg. So go wide, and then bring it through the middle, maybe. Yeah, if you want a standing koichi. You can do an L-shaped koichi again, a bit like French is sideways. L-shaped koichi is like here, and then you can see there's a nogi comp online on YouTube, and someone does it L-shaped koichi. So bring it out and then towards you, rather than just straight towards. Because if you hook and bring straight towards, they'll seize and go solid, and it won't work. L-shape redirects like Aikido, and Tai shape redirects. So it shakes the mind. The mind can't understand, because it's like it goes one way and then it goes the other way. It's like a feint 1-2 or 2-1. So it shakes the mind, because you're going sideways and then you're going linear. So it's like redirection. Main point, without going on, use the body and the torso. Don't use foot technique on its own. Don't use hand technique on its own. Use the hand technique or use the ashiwaza, but use it with the body. And let it be ugly. Don't let it look perfect, because that's never going to happen. And that's the problem I see a lot in classes, is people wanting to get it perfect to those thousands of decimal places, and it's a pointless venture. Even if you do, it'll never happen in randori. So yeah, the standing O and ko. Brace your hands, swing your torso. Don't stand up here, and everyone does it, don't they? And ken maybe again, if you're 7 foot tall, 8 foot tall, you get it, but in general you won't. Yeah. So standing ouchi kouchi, swing the torso, brace the body. Yeah, you won't get it if you just stay upright here and you don't move. Swing that, then you're on one leg. Technically you're standing because you haven't fell on the floor. So it's a standing O and ko. Yeah, and so thread the leg through, let it be ugly. And use your body. Use your torso and use your body. Don't just use your ashiwaza by itself, your foot technique by itself. Thread the leg. Use the torso, body, momentum, swing, and let it be ugly. Yeah. That's it. And then whatever grip you want, nogi underhook, nogi headlock, nogi overhand, whatever. Or round even. Round over the 3 ways, under, side, over, whatever. I don't care. Really, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that swing is good. And again, your body always weighs more. Even if they've got big giant gorilla hands, your body and your legs weigh more than their hands, no matter how big giant gorilla hands they've got. Okay, and some people are leg fighters like me, some people are arm fighters. But yeah, don't isolate. I know everyone locks into a certain battle position and just gets frozen and locks into this tussle, but don't. You use your body, because your body again always weighs more than their hands, and your legs weigh more than their hands. although I know gripping and because the jacket and the gi, and it gives big advantage to arm fighters, and it does, and it's not fair. But again, if you use your body weighs more than their hands, no matter how big their hands are, no matter how good their hand fighting is. Your body weighs more than their hands, and your leg weighs more than their hands. So use those to your advantage, and that is why 90% of Ludo has 90% of throws in Ludo are sacrifice throws. They're not standing throws because your body weighs more than your arms when you're throwing. So if you throw your body into it, it's more effective than just using your hands. Again, if you've got big gorilla hands, that can work, but in general, it doesn't. Your body weighs more than your hands, and your legs weigh more than your hands. So, and especially again, if you're not a hand arm fighter like me, using the leg power and the body power is better. So, and that again is why 90% of throwing techniques Nagiwaza is sacrifice, is sitemi throws, falling throws, not standing throws. You can have standing throws, but 90% aren't, because your body, it's more effective to throw your body weight in than just your hands because it weighs more. So yeah, just remember them three. Yeah, don't be over perfect on it. Thread your leg through, torso and body. Don't use a body part by itself. Yeah, I think the 5 classifications are a bit, I'm not going to say outdated, but maybe a bit too over rigid, or not even necessarily over rigid, but the modern Western interpretation of them is too rigid. So there is Tiwaza, hand and arm techniques, Ashiwaza, foot and leg techniques, Koshiwaza, hip techniques, Masu Temiwaza, which is straight sacrifice techniques, and then Yokosu Temiwaza, which is side sacrifice techniques. Side sacrifice like Yoko Tomonagi. Yeah. So, and Hon Tomonagi, the regular style, will be the linear sacrifice. But don't be over rigid on them, because again, if you're doing a Seonagi, that's a hand arm technique, and yet you're using, it's a hip throw with your hands, because you're doing an ogoshi with your hands instead of an ogoshi with your hips. You're doing an ogoshi with your hands. It is an ogoshi with your hands. I mean, to a degree, Uchimata is a hip throw with the thigh, so these techniques blur into each other. So I'm not saying don't use the categorizations, but don't let it be so rigid that you lose sight of everything. All right.